download our Revise It Right revision app for hundreds of videos, quizzes, exam questions, tutor support and so much more. This video is about group 0 elements. Now group 0 elements are called noble gases. So what that means is they are all gases, and they actually are all colourless gases, i.e. they have no colour. They're colourless gases at room temperature. Okay, now the noble gases, group 0, are made up of helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. They are the noble gases and they're group 0. Now these, if we draw them out, if we draw out their electronic structure, so helium has 2 electrons and neon has 10, so 2 and then 8. What you can see is that they have full outer shells, because in the first shell you can only have 2, therefore that's full, and in the next shell they can have 8, so that is full as well. Now if we get down and drew an argon and krypton, they would also have full outer shells as well. Now because they have full outer shells, remember it is the goal of atoms to gain a full outer shell. That means they do not need to gain any more electrons. They're already happy, which means they are not reactive, and we call them inert. Now this means they don't react much at all. Okay, they are actually monoatomic gases. They're monoatomic, which means they actually exist on their own. So you'll see helium on its own as He. Things like our group 7, who they like to exist in pairs. Remember, it'd be chlorine Cl2 or fluorine F2. They like to exist in pairs, whereas our group 0 elements are monoatomic. They like to exist on their own. So you won't find He2. It will just be H2. It'll be helium. Another thing to note with our noble gases is they're non-flammable, which means they won't set fire. Okay, so non-flammable. So lots thrown at you there really about noble gases. So very quickly, just to recap that. These are the noble gases, group 0. They're all colourless gases at room temperature, and they're all inert, which means they do not react. They're also monoatomic, which means they like to exist on their own. They're single atoms, not bonded to each other, and they're non-flammable. Remember to download our Revise It Right revision app, watch over 700 videos, answer 4,000 plus quiz questions, over 1,000 flashcards, 1,000 exam questions, worksheets, forums, and get help from qualified teachers, and so much more. The link is in the description. Now, just as with group 1 and with group 7, there are various reactions, different properties, different patterns as you go down the group. Okay, so let's very quickly again write our noble gases out like this. And just like we did really with our group 1 and group 7, we draw an arrow like this. And just like with those two, the atomic mass gets bigger or increases as you go down the group. So the atomic mass of helium is 4, neon is 20, argon is 40, krypton 84, and so on. You can see it's getting bigger as you go down the group. The boiling point also increases as you go down the group. So the boiling point and the melting point also increases as you go down the group. Okay, so 2 patterns we need to learn there, that the mass increases as you go down the group, but also the boiling point does as well. Now, they are all non-reactive, so we don't have to talk about the reactivity as you go down the group because they are inert. They do not react much. So, there we have talked about group 0 elements. So what I'd like you to have a go at now is answering these questions here. So if you can pause the video, we'll go through the answers after. Pause the video now. Okay, let's go through the answers then. So number 1, why do we describe group 0 elements as inert? Well, that's because they do not react. They are non-reactive. True or false? Group 0 elements all exist in pairs. Well, this is of course false because they are monoatomic. They actually like to exist as single atoms. True or false? All noble gases are colourless gases. Well, that is true. They are all colourless gases at room temperature. 4. What happens to the boiling point as you go down group 0? it increases, it gets bigger. And finally, what happens to the relative atomic mass as you go down group 0? Again, it increases as you go down the group. So there we've learnt about group 0 elements. If you would like now to move on to the quiz to test yourself and to answer exam questions on this topic. If there was anything you didn't quite understand in that video, then please get into contact with one of our tutors who are happy to help.